Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll talk about keeping your BI fast, stable, and cost efficient by implementing predictive monitoring for Power BI and Tableau. I'm Patrick Perrier. I'm the VP of Product Management here at Wiiisdom. And for more than 25 years, I've been working with companies using SAP Business Objects, Tableau, Power BI. And for the last few years, I've focused mainly on doing analytics governance and at scale. Now, this topic is really important because the patterns are really consistent. If you have badly designed content which is, retrieving too much data or refreshed too frequently, or have some things in the design that will affect performance, at the end of the day, they become noisy neighbor. They will give a bad user experience. They will affect your entire enterprise and platform. So performance, stability maybe, and at the end of the day, increase the cost of maintaining this analytics. So today in this webinar, my objective is to demonstrate how predictive monitoring will help you to improve the user experience, prevent outages, and control the cost before all of these issues become real serious incidents. Okay, and at Wiiisdom, we've been doing this for nearly 20 years now. Our goals, our objective is to help our customers build adoption of the analytics content and make sure that their end users can trust the data-driven decision they're going to take. And we do that by following three different pillars. And the first one, we call it continuous certification. So making sure that your governed content is always validated, the data is always accurate, the performance always right. So again, monitoring your production content by also certifying or decertifying if the content should or should not be used by end users. The second thing is the lifecycle management, helping you development, test, production, version control even, so you can compare between versions and easily roll back. So a really important pillar. And the topic of the day, which is predictive monitoring. So here at Wiiisdom, we'll help you with the development, automating the tests, do the version control, and once you have all of this content and users in production, keeping an eye on everything. And we do that for Tableau, Power BI, and SAP Business Objects. Now, there's four reasons why this topic matters right now. And the first one is the impact of noisy neighbor. Now, I talked about this earlier. The noisy neighbors are the content which are either heavily used and or badly designed. And when that's the case, it will degrade the platform performance and it will affect other users. Now, not only affect the users, but it could even create outages. Now, depending on the technology you are using right now, you might have elastic capacities. Snowflake has that feature. The old Power BI premium capacity has. Tableau Cloud actually is elastic as well. Fabric capacities, not so much. So outages will slow down using the content or even prevent using content at all. And that's not great for the confidence of the end users, and also for the cost. Cost will increase if you have inefficient models, inefficient design, higher than expected usage. And we all have to budget for something, and unpredictable cost is an issue. So it really matters that we can keep an eye on this. And also, monitoring and troubleshooting all this. BI vendors will give you access to a lot of logs, but these logs are really often slow to use and they are reactive. Hey, why is it too expensive? Why do I have an outage right now? Why is it too slow? Well, we go through the logs and we find the answer. What if we could see this information ahead of time, and be proactive instead of reactive? And the world of analytics has changed a lot in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years even that I've been doing this. So we need to change the way we govern it as well. The first is the cost of analytics. When I started in the old days, on-premise servers, data people will be doing the databases, the ETLs, the analytics semantic model and data sets, maybe even build some of the reports. So the entire chain was, really controlled, and the end users were more, consuming content than building their own. Now we are at the other end of this, where there is AI, where people just simply ask whatever they want. Self-service is so easy that people will create their own data model, therefore create their own content, so they don't have to wait for anybody to build new use cases. Requirements for faster delivery is higher than ever. But despite all this, the adoption of BI analytics remain slow. People are still in Excel. So there is this incredible shift of having access to all this technology and all this power. And again, companies tell us that adoption remains lower than they expect. And the impact of not governing all of these things properly is that, well, without proactive monitoring or governance, you'll see your platforms under stress. So not only Tableau and Power BI analytics platforms, but the backend systems as well, like databases, Snowflake, BigQuery, and all this in the cloud. And by being under stress, it will lead to unpredictable cost of ownership for all of your cloud platforms, like I said. So what's the recommendation? Not only proactive monitoring, which is much better than reactive, but also predictive monitoring and governance. You want to avert outages before they happen. You want to avoid having to scale up, resize capacities, which will cost you more money because you're firefighting. In short, FinOps practices. Now, this topic is so important that Gartner has a dedicated sector for this, which they call data and analytics governance. And we're really proud at Wiiisdom to have been named in the hype cycle for 2025. And here's one of the quotes from Gartner, and I really like the first sentence. And the first sentence is that to be successful, you must build a comprehensive monitoring solution to identify, diagnose system performance challenges, and also inappropriate user behavior. By detecting all this, by having a monitoring solution, you can catch the chaos before it starts. So if I take a couple of examples here, the heavy report layout will put your capacity under stress, probably give a bad user experience. If you have computer greedy refreshers or extract, it means that, again, capacity working really hard to deal with these refreshes, the cost of the storage, so compute storage, but also the cost of queries, on those backend databases. And the last one I'll pick here is to detect outages. Again, being slow is not great, not responsive at all for minutes or hours or days that we've heard in some cases is absolutely the worst. So by introducing predictive monitoring, hopefully less chaos. Now let's have a look at the cost of analytics. And I don't mean cost only in dollars, financially, but costs in terms of processing. So let's say this is daily usage for your typical company. On the left here, we see that Monday morning, 9 a.m., it's busy. Okay, Tuesday afternoon, it's a bit less. In the middle, maybe it's the weekend, so not so much usage, and we're back on Monday morning with another spike. Now, let's say you decided to build a platform and a budget around this conservative scenario where, okay, I think this is how things will be used. Well, on Monday morning, when you have a spike right there, you'll end up having performance, maybe outages, for sure bad user experience. But at other times, you'll be paying for capacities and units that you don't need to because it's underused. So this is not efficient, potentially causing a lot of trouble. Now, you could say, I'll go all in and spend a lot of money. I don't believe that in 2025 this is possible. But let's pretend, right? I have a lot of money. I don't want to hear about any problems anywhere, so I'll just pay a lot more than I really need to. Okay, this is a little bit of a temporary band-aid, but if adoption goes up, sooner or later this will become the same problem. So this red line will be what the orange line is in the future, and then you're back to the same problem. Ideally, what you'd want to do is to move to a predictive scenario, that when you have peaks, and peaks that can be explained, more users using great content, content that has been refreshed when they were meant to with the right amount of data, so it's great. Okay, well, we need to pay more because we pay as you use. That's the way it is. That's fine. But if we're having less usage because it's holidays, the weekend, or downtime, and whatever the reason is, well, why should we pay for unnecessary capacity size and all that? So by being able to predict, you can be maybe this orange line, but you pay more only when it's needed to, and only when it's reasonable to do so. So I am going to do a few demos now as to how Wiiisdom do predictive monitoring and can help by having a predictive look at the usage, capacities, the bad content, and so on. So first thing, it will be super quick. I'll show you how easy it is to plug Wiiisdom to your Tableau and your Power BI. It takes a matter of minutes. And then I'll do a detailed demo around Power BI reports and their semantic models. And I'll finish with Tableau doing the same thing for workbooks and data sources. All right, first demo, plug and play deployment. I'm going to log on to Wiiisdom right here. Here we go. So I'm in my Wiiisdom platform, and we'll see that to connect to Tableau and Power BI, we need to define something called a BI platform. Now, when we create a new BI platform, we have a few options, but if I look at Power BI, I can create an automated platform by logging into it, and of course the Azure administrator needs to approve this connectivity. But when it's done, we have a automatic connection to Power BI. And we support, of course, the ability to do manual connections. So again, very, very simple and very secure. For Tableau, it's the same thing. It's called a connected app. So you go to as an administrator, go to Tableau, create a connected app. You place it in Wiiisdom here. And then after that, as an end user, I will need to define what we call a context, where I need to put my credentials, my personal access token, and basically I can only do in Wiiisdom what I can do in Tableau or Power BI. I do not have, obviously, more or less permissions. Everything is using official APIs and connectivity. So very quick and very secure. Okay, the second thing I'll demo today is Power BI. So if I go back to Wiiisdom, we see here we have our predictive monitoring. And predictive monitoring, how it works is we do that by creating a priority score, so predictive scoring. And for a number of insights, we have 5 right now with more under development. I'll start with the first one here, which is the report opening duration. Now, we know that if reports take a long time to open, it means that they are perhaps badly designed, or maybe your platform is under some sort of stress, or even maybe interactive outages in the case of Power BI. And we see this example here. I have this revenue review document. It's in my Power BI product demo workspace. And we see that for the last 30 days, it has been used 128 times, and 50% of the time it took 5 seconds or less, which I think it's very acceptable performance. But we see that the other 50% of the time it took up to 12 seconds and sometimes even more. So this could be above my SLA, and especially if I have a look at the rest of the platform here, we see that my global median is 2 seconds, or my global P95 is 6 seconds. So this one is performing definitely worse than other content. It's used quite a lot. It's scoring higher than the others. So if I wanted to, to proactively look at what content could be improved and looked at to make sure they don't become problem, or again, to refer to the expression of nosy neighbor on the platform. This is where I would start. And here's another one here. This one used a bit less, but also above the platform, the average of the platform. So with Wiiisdom, we collect information about usage, about also performance, other type of metadata. We aggregate that, and for the last 30 days or for the last 7 days, we are giving you a score to determine where you want to start troubleshooting this. If I take another example here with a semantic model, same thing here. We see that I have a brand new semantic model. This semantic model is a lot slower than the rest of the platform. It has a really high score compared to the rest. As an administrator, as a platform owner, seeing this, I would know, okay, I need to have a look at this thing. If it's not a problem now, it's likely going to become a problem in the future. So this is something I really want to monitor. Now, we're giving you here some scoring, some data, and what's great as well is what you can do is for important content, and let's pretend that this one here. So let's have a look at this one, scoring really nicely at 16 today, but is used quite a bit. It's around purchasing, so it's an important model for me. I can decide to select this one or many, and then add it to my continuous governance. So I'm back a little bit to our first pillar here. What Wiiisdom will do is take the information of this semantic model and will automatically pre-build, proactive and automated validation governance for this semantic model. Maybe I want to make sure there's no duplicated rows. I want to make sure that my row count are not empty, so I don't have empty tables. Maybe I want to make sure that this semantic model is refreshed at least once a day. And then I can add other elements here. I can do some DAX queries as you would expect as well to validate min, max, validate dates, validate values, even with this here. So how to join joined up monitoring, and then decide what content needs to be proactively monitored, and obviously with the right level of alerts straight to your Microsoft Teams emails. Certification, I talked about it a bit earlier, not really the purpose of this webinar. Now, just before I jump to my demo for Tableau, I wanted to show you that all the data that we extract and aggregate and we display in the user interface, actually there's a lot more available in our database that you can do your own analytics. So you see here I'm in Power BI and I'm looking at information regarding my semantic models, and then I can see information about my workspaces. I can see the semantic model owners, what they do, and I have a lot more information about usage, weekly, monthly averages, and so on. So I could decide to do my own analytics myself to monitor all this. All right, so that was Power BI. Now, last but not least, very similar demo, but for Tableau content. So I'll just go back to Predictive Monitoring, and I'll go to my Tableau production environment. Now, what was reports in Power BI is views in Tableau. What was semantic model is data sources, of course, for people who know the two different technology. And the same thing here, based on usage, based on performance, even based on design, right? Here, if content is badly designed, so a number of views in the workbook, a number of pages in a report, we're about to release 15 extra in the new year design validation and good practices that will improve or reduce the scoring here. But at the end of the day, it's always the same thing. With Wiiisdom, we will let you know by scoring the content which should be looked at before others, so you can do efficient and proactive and predictive governance. All right, so I've just shown you how easy it is to connect Wiiisdom to Power BI and Tableau. I've done a demo with Power BI, how we can look at reports performance, semantic model performance, join that content into a governed and automated validation pipelines that is available for Tableau, of course, as well, and how that even extra data is available in the backend for you if you want to do even deeper analytics of that data that we create. So I talked about the 5 problems or the 5 challenges. So again, there's a shift of way the cost works in analytics. So you want to build with efficiency. You have to keep the cost in mind. Unnecessary large queries, returning a lot of data. And when it was on-premise, that was one thing. Now in the cloud, if you pay per compute or pay per usage, it's going to be really expensive. AI is great. People want to use it, Copilot or Tableau Pulse, Tableau agents, that's great, but that requires solid and transparent foundation. So a lot of governance around the data. The users needs to know they can trust what AI is going to return to them. Self-service is great. Like I said, we do not want to stop it, but governance will mean that by monitoring all this, your production assets should not become under disruptions and suffer from outages. And there's the same thing with the faster delivery. That's perfect. But by implementing test-driven development, you then have a solution like Wiiisdom to automate and regularly revalidate these tests to make sure that the content you built, once it's in production today, it works, but continue to work next month and in 6 months' time. Again, by doing this test-driven development early on, it means it's a lot faster to implement all this. And then at the end of the day, you got to embrace what we call the last mile governance. End users are using semantic models, reports, and dashboards. They're not connecting directly to databases. So the last mile is the analytics asset they will be using. Very important to govern the content and the platform as well. And this will lead to real-world benefits. So enhance stability by detecting early if there are any problems. Now, problems, I guess, will always happen, but when they happen, you want to resolve them quickly. So as opposed to look through a lot of logs, look at aggregated data with the priority scoring. You will know where to start. This will lead to less inefficient models and refreshes. So to optimize your cost and at least have, a predictive budgeting of what your costs will be. I mentioned FinOps earlier in this webinar. And our stakeholders are the one consuming all this. If they have good user experience, they'll have good satisfactions, they will trust the content, and this will drive up adoption, which is important for everybody. So before I go, I just want to say, well, thank you for joining me to this webinar today. I hope it was useful. I hope you're interested to see more of what Wiiisdom has to offer. Scan the QR code here. Get in touch on LinkedIn, on our website. And looking forward to speaking with you in the future. Okay, thank you.